Welcome to this GigaOm enablement session on the GigaOm Radar for Service Mesh prepared for Greymatter. In the next 20 to 30 minutes, we'll unpack what this radar means for Greymatter, how to read it, what it tells us about buyer priorities, and how to use it in customer conversations. My goal is to help you see this asset through the eyes of the buyer, not the seller, understanding what executives and technical champions value, how they evaluate service mesh solutions, and where Greymatter stands out with its zero-trust stance. By the end, you'll know how to interpret the radar and use it to guide confident, insight-led discussions that position Greymatter as a credible, trusted partner in the service mesh space. I'm Jon Collins, Field CTO. Before we get started, let's walk through today's session and how it's structured. Our goal is to help you evaluate the buyer's journey so you can provide the right evidence at the right time. We'll start with the why from the buyer, business value and executive motivations. Then we'll look at who buys it, executive decision makers and technical champions, and what each of them values. From there, we'll break down the GigaOm Radar, how it's built, how to read it, and what Greymatter's placement tells us. We'll follow that with competitive context, reviewing how Greymatter compares with Kong and Tetrate and Solo.io, and how to handle the conversations that come up around each. Finally, we'll wrap up with key takeaways and Q&A. Let's open by looking at the service mesh sector as a whole. We can talk about service mesh as the connective tissue of the modern enterprise. Organizations are buying a mesh as a solution to the complexity wall created by microservices. They need to automate the heavy lifting of security, observability, and traffic management so their developers can focus on actual mission logic. Why this matters to the executive leader, such as the CIO or CTO. For the C-suite, this is a risk mitigation and agility play. In government sectors especially, the mandate is clear. Move to zero trust or face risk and compliance consequences. Automated identity-based security that meets NIST and FIPS standards enables zero trust enforcement without manual configuration. Then we have operational efficiency, reducing the tribal knowledge and manual scripting required to keep distributed systems running. We have audit and compliance, providing forensic auditing of every user to workload interaction. And finally, cost automation, intelligent traffic routing to minimize cross-zone data charges and optimize resource use. As a sales tip, sell the outcome, not the mesh. Resonate with your customers by talking about delivering on zero-trust goals and eliminating the complexity tax of their cloud-native journey. So what are the motivations and expectations? In the service mesh space, the CIO or CISO typically holds the budget, especially in government agencies where security is the primary driver. They are looking for green money, that's innovation investment, to fund modernization. But they expect brown money, operational recurring, to enable savings over time through reduced overhead. Your likely champion is usually the platform engineer or network architect. They are the ones feeling the pain of sidecar sprawl and manual certificate rotation. Their pain is technical. The executive's pain is regulatory and financial. So we have the buyer-champion gap. The champion wants eBPF performance and GitOps workflows. The executive wants to know, does this meet DoD ZTA 2.0? The champion often lacks the language to prove ROI or compliance to the C-suite. So we can provide tactics to arm your champion. We'll be looking at how to use the radar in a moment, but for now, consider how to bridge the gap with reframing. You can frame the conversation by asking, are you building a network or are you securing a mission? This elevates the champion's technical need to the executive's strategic goal. Let's now look at the radar. The GigaOm Radar is a technical forward-looking assessment. It's the result of a structured research process drawing on two core inputs. First, the key criteria report. This defines the functional and non-functional requirements for the sector. It breaks them down into table stakes, key features, emerging features, and business criteria. Then we have the vendor analysis. Each vendor is evaluated against those criteria using a mix of product documentation, demos, customer input, and analyst expertise. Solution capsules offer focused write-ups that summarize each vendor's offering, strengths, and opportunities. Unlike other graphics that focus more on market share, The radar graphic is about product capability and vision. So how should you read the graphic? First, the axes. Vertically measures innovation, that's flexibility, versus maturity, stability. Then horizontally we measure feature play, specialized, versus the platform play, which is a broader reach of functionality. In terms of the arrows, these define velocity. They project where the vendor will be in 12 to 18 months. And the concentric rings show overall value. The closer to the center, the higher the overall value delivered. It's important to frame the radar not as a beauty contest, but as context. The radar helps buyers see how vendors align to their own priorities. So let's look at Greymatter's placement within the GigaOm Radar for Service Mesh, what it tells us, and how to use it with customers. In broad terms, Greymatter is positioned as a leader and outperformer in the innovation and platform play quadrant. This tells the buyer Greymatter is a fast mover with a comprehensive platform that isn't just checking boxes. You are redefining the space. Positioned nearest the center, you aren't just a leader, you are the vendor moving the innovation needle the hardest. So how can you use the radar? In conversations with customers, the radar lets you show where Greymatter sits relative to competitors, visually and objectively. Using the vendor descriptions, you can point to specific strengths in key and emerging features that support this position. And you can discuss market trends by quadrant, helping customers understand why an outperformer in innovation and platform play is well placed for agility and growth. Let's take a deeper look at Greymatter's position. Compared to the general market, Greymatter is the only vendor that effectively masters what's inside. Most meshes focus on simple L7 traffic, but you focus on zero-trust networking at the mission-critical level. Your strengths include military-grade security. You're certified for DoD impact levels 2 to 6+. Agentic intelligence, an autonomous layer that manages the mesh so humans don't have to. Multi-platform breadth, native support for VMs, bare metal, and 5G or edge that competitors often relegate to beta. You do have some perceived challenges to address. First, your resource footprint. Your powerful security features require more CPU or memory than lightweight tools. You can position this as the cost of compliance. You can't get to a DoD level security from a 15 megabyte proxy. Complexity. The platform is powerful, which can be daunting and can lead to a potential for more complexity. You can lean into your Greymatter specification language and automated playbooks to reduce setup time and configuration. Before we move into competitive intelligence, let's lock in the key insights you should take from the GigaOm Radar. These are your anchor points, messages that turn analyst evaluation into field-ready guidance. The 5 golden nuggets are: first, leader and outperformer status. You can use this to prove that you are the most innovative platform on the market. DoD certification. This is your silver bullet in government and highly regulated sectors. Platform play access. Emphasize that you aren't a point solution for Kubernetes. You are an enterprise-wide SCL. Quarterly release cadence. You can highlight your speed of innovation to win over forward-thinking CTOs. Finally, you score 5 in encryption and security. You are top of class. You can use this to address any CISO objection. With that foundation in place, let's look at how Greymatter performs against specific competitors, Solo.io, Kong, and Tetrate. The goal is not to attack, but to highlight where Greymatter excels, where you are strong, and how to handle common objections you'll hear in the field. So first, Solo.io is also a leader and outperformer, positioned in the same quadrant as Greymatter. While both are high-velocity innovators, they serve different architectural philosophies. What Greymatter does better includes government-grade compliance. Greymatter is the only solution certified for DoD impact levels 2 to 6+, providing a mission-ready security posture that exceeds Solo.io's enterprise focus. Second, agentic intelligence. You have a unique autonomous layer that manages the mesh lifecycle without manual scripting, whereas Solo.io remains more focused on manual Istio lifecycle management. You also have heterogeneous support. You offer deep native integration for VMs and bare metal as core features, whilst Solo.io is heavily optimized for Kubernetes first environment. It's worth considering what Solo.io does better. It has great scalability. It's demonstrated extreme scale, supporting up to 100 million pods, making them a formidable competitor. And second, ambient mesh leadership. They're a primary contributor to Istio's ambient mesh, offering a highly mature sidecarless implementation that's currently more advanced than your own. If you're looking to handle objections, you might hear Solo.io is the leader in Istio innovation and massive scale. You can respond, Solo.io is indeed impressive at web-scale Kubernetes. However, Greymatter is built for hybrid complexity. If your mission spans non-Kubernetes environments and requires DoD-level Zero Trust certification, we provide a certified autonomous platform that Solo.io's model doesn't match. Let's move on to Kong, which is a challenger and fast mover in the innovation and platform quadrant. What Greymatter does better? You lead on DoD compliance and agentic intelligence. Kong security is strong, but you own the military-grade space. And what Kong does better? They do have a very mature API gateway integration and a massive open source community. One objection you might receive is that Kong is easier to install. In response, you can say that Kong is great for simple Layer 7 traffic, but Greymatter automates the entire Zero Trust lifecycle for more complex, high-security environments. Now let's look at Tetrate, which is a challenger and fast mover in the maturity and platform quadrant. What do you do better? You offer deeper support for non-standard protocols and 5G, whereas Tetrate is heavily tied to the Istio roadmap. What Tetrate does better? They do offer a very stable, enterprise-hardened Istio distribution for organizations that want purely upstream alignment. In terms of objections, you might hear that Tetrate uses standard Istio. You can respond that you integrate with Istio as well, but you add an autonomous intelligence layer that Istio lacks, which is why GigaOm ranks you as an outperformer in innovation, whilst Tetrate is only a fast mover. So let's bring these key messages together. What does the GigaOm Radar tell us about Greymatter, and how can you use that story with customers? The aim is to internalize this narrative, linking technology strength, market position, and customer value into a clear message. So first, Zero Trust is decision makers number one. A majority of customers cite this as their first reason for a mesh, and you own this with a score of 5 in security. In terms of innovation velocity, being an outperformer isn't just a label, it's proof of your quarterly research rhythm. Your platform breadth means that you support the messy middle of IT, VMs, bare metal, and 5G, not just greenfield Kubernetes. So in terms of educating the champion, you can talk about how you are securing the complex mission. You're reducing an operational burden for organizations. To close, let's look at key questions you're likely to face and ones you should be asking. You can use these to guide discovery, qualify the opportunity, and reinforce Greymatter's strengths with credibility and focus. First, let's look at executive buyers. What you can ask them is, how are you currently validating your Zero Trust posture for inter-service communication across multi-cloud environments? The goal of this question is to uncover if they are relying on perimeter security or manual unverified MTLS configurations. They might ask you, what is the true cost of ownership when factoring in the resource overhead of your platform versus a lightweight open source alternative? The answer is that whilst lightweight proxies may save on initial RAM, Greymatter reduces overall TCO through automated lifecycle management and agentic orchestration. Next, technical champions. You could potentially ask them, how many hours a week is your team spending on manual certificate rotation and troubleshooting? The goal of this question is to highlight the pain of day 2 operations that manual service meshes ignore. They might ask you, how does your agentic intelligence layer interact with our existing GitOps pipelines without creating another silo? The answer is to refer to Greymatter specification language, which integrates natively with your GitOps repos, providing declarative version control policies to reduce implementation time. Now here are some questions you may get about the GigaOm Radar. Simply, how do I interpret the radar quadrants? You can explain that GigaOm assesses vendor by innovation and platform scope, not market share. Greymatter's innovation and platform placement shows both breadth and depth. You may also be asked, why trust GigaOm over other analyst firms? And you can answer, because GigaOm's process is practitioner-based, hands-on, and criteria-led, built on technical evaluation and practitioner insight, not surveys or marketing input. To wrap up, as organizations face the complexity wall of microservices, Greymatter doesn't just provide a mesh. You provide a mission-ready framework that enforces military-grade security and eliminates the complexity tax through autonomous, agentic intelligence. Thank you for your time and attention today. I hope these insights help you approach customer conversations with confidence, using the radar to highlight Greymatter's strengths and differentiation in this exciting space.